Joining me are Benjamin Klein, a board member of the Adass Synagogue, which was firebombed, and federal Liberal MP Julian Leeser, who's also Jewish. Although this really, when I say that, I'm embarrassed because this should be of concern to everyone, whatever their faith. Honestly, this is just so infuriating. But anyway, Benjamin Klein, can you tell me about your synagogue? What does that mean to your community, and what have you lost?
Sure. So the synagogue was created 70 years ago after the Holocaust. It was a synagogue built by Holocaust survivors with their bare hands and built up really a beacon of light for within the Jewish community. It's a central focal point for the community, and it's a place where we spend a huge amount of time every day in the synagogue praying and learning, and really to see that ripped from us is something which is a lot more than just a building ripped away from us. It's really an icon and a centre of our world.
Don't you find it, Benjamin, built after a great hatred in Germany and destroyed in a great hatred right here? Do you feel something, very ominous going on here?
I do, Andrew. And in fact, on Saturday when we had to move the prayers to another location where we had prayers because our synagogue was burnt down, and the prayers, we included different songs which they sang in the cattle cars on the way to Auschwitz. They sang a song composed called Ani Mamin. And really, we sang those same songs this weekend just to give us strength that like we came out of that stronger, we will come out of this bigger and stronger also.
Oh, Benjamin, geez, that's what an anecdote that is. Julian Leeser, the response from the state and federal governments has been, we'll send more police, we'll give some money to help rebuild the synagogue, we'll provide more security for other Jewish sites, and as of this afternoon, we're going to have an Australian Federal Police Task Force into anti-Semitism. Fine. This seems to me, though, the barest minimum. It seems to me Band-Aid stuff. It doesn't actually go to tackling what's actually creating this Jew hatred. What more do you want to see?
Well, I couldn't agree more with you, Andrew. This is so little and so late. I mean, we've been calling for tougher measures from governments, for the federal government particularly, to stand unequivocally against anti-Semitism for more than a year now. We've been calling, I and 70 members of Parliament wrote to Tony Burke and asked him to guarantee that he would not let any terrorism supporters into this country, and anyone who was a terrorist supporter on a visa would be expelled. That's a letter we wrote months ago. We still don't have any response from him. I think the government has been making deliberate choices right the way along here to minimise the anti-Semitism that's been occurring in our community, to mush it and to equate it with Islamophobia, not to call it out clearly, and not to provide in place both the police resourcing and the other things that are needed here, like being prepared to change the 501 definitions for the character test in the Migration Act, as Peter Dutton is proposing to do, to make it very clear that people who engage in anti-Semitic conduct have no place in this country, to provide unequivocal support for the security needs of the Jewish community, including having armed guards outside Jewish communal premises. That's the sort of strong action that the government should have provided months and months and months ago. I mean, this is a government that cannot even come at a judicial inquiry into anti-Semitism on campus, an issue I've been raising for months, and yet this government disrespected the Jewish community leaders, disrespected their own appointed envoy on anti-Semitism, who has made it very clear that she thinks that we need a judicial inquiry because we need to get to the bottom of some of this, Andrew. And I think too much of what we're seeing from this government is Band-Aid or is just ignoring and disrespecting the Jewish community of Australia.
I think you're absolutely right. We need to get to the factories of this hate and not just put more police around the perimeter. Benjamin Klein, your community's gone through, your congregation's gone through a hell of a lot over the last few days. What do you and they need to feel safe in Australia again?
I think a big part of it, Andrew, is really for the government to strengthen the laws and really change the fabric of the community. I grew up in Melbourne, Australia. I'm born and bred Melbourne. My parents are born and bred Melbourne. And really for the government to show strength and to really, punish individuals and really push for that old fabric where we're all Australians, we all live and let live, we all really lead our own lives in our own way and respect each other is really what's my message for the government and for Australia to work towards.
Yeah, but I didn't think that would need saying. You're just saying absolute platitudes there that I thought every Australian would accept, and it seems the country's been ripped from under our feet, Benjamin.